The topic for today is don't be this guy at your local matches. I interact with a wide variety of people, veteran, competitive shooters, or people very accustomed to being in that match kind of setting. I realize USPSA is a bit of a dumpster fire, but probably on life support at the moment. But anyway, it's a great way to test your skills and perform on demand. So I interact with a lot of people that are veteran competitive shooters or just looking into whether it's PCSL, USPSA, IDPA, whatever, just looking at giving competitive shooting a try. And it's a really good way to test your skills. I think it's well worth the effort, even if the organizations are a bit flawed. Well, at least one of them. Some of these will apply to a new shooter. Some of these are for everyone. But specifically, I talk to people that are worried about being prepared. We're asking what standard or how much training or what to do. The advice is just go give it a try. Just shoot a match, see if you like it. Don't buy anything special as long as you have a 9mm pistol, a holster that covers the trigger guard, and at least probably need 4 magazines. Depending if they're high cap, maybe 3 could be okay. That's going to be enough to get you there. So just go with the gear you have. Show up with your gun unloaded in a bag or in a case, and just find somebody there to get you up to speed on what the rules are, that kind of stuff. So anyway, don't delay, just go. It's kind of flawed thinking to think that you are going to train in a way that you're going to be ready to like kind of crush souls when you first show up or make your first debut. It's not going to happen. I'll have a fun story about that for you. But anyway, just be safe when you show up. Don't expect to win anything. And the thing people don't understand is that you really care about how you do, but nobody else does. Everyone else there just cares about how they do. So don't get so wrapped up thinking if I make a miss, people are going to judge me, because they're worried that you're going to judge them for the miss they made or the time they lost or what they did or didn't do. So anyway, that's it. Just go up and give it a try. For the new people that show up, well, for the veteran people, competitive shooters, when someone shows up, don't be a tool and try to talk to them about all the different rules and divisions and cite. I'll be a little bit crazy. I've seen enough videos on YouTube about USPSA. The first thing people want to talk about are the division rules and what division your gun does and doesn't work for. No one cares. Just show up with whatever they show up with. Just let them shoot the match. They could shoot an open, even if they have a gun that doesn't qualify for open. I know, blasphemy. I'll tell you a fun little story. A very good friend of mine, his name's Kenny, he showed up at his first match. I'm terrible at this stuff. Let's say at least 5 years ago, maybe more. Kenny shows up. He has a Roland Special Glock, so like a Glock 19 with a compensator, a red dot, and a thigh holster. And from the look of Kenny's demeanor, he thought he was there to win. I know now from talking to him, he does practice some. He's well, at the time he was practicing it quite a bit in a way he knew how to. He thought he had the right gear, some pretty cutting edge stuff, and he showed up trained and ready to win, ready to at least make an impression. I could take one look. It's like, yep, he's not going to do as well as he thinks he's going to do, because oftentimes people outside the competitive shooting world don't understand how much talent there is at matches. But some of the local FUDs thought it would be good to talk to him about what division, and he can't have that thigh holster in open division, because at the time he couldn't, his leg strap and his Roland Special, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, just put him in open division. He's not going to win anything. Even though Kenny doesn't realize that, he's not winning anything. Just put him in my squad. We'll help him out and keep an eye on him. So anyway, fast forward. I don't think he'd mind telling this story or dropping his name, because he and I still laugh about it. But then he really fell in love with USPSA, ended up getting specific equipment for USPSA, and had a great time and traveled all over the country with him, and he's still a really close friend to this day. But if his first encounter, he would have got squatted with some FUDs who wanted to talk his ear off about how he couldn't have a thigh strap on his holster, or how his leg holster was too low, or whatever. It was like, it was safe. Just let him shoot. That's in the case, like, the first taste is free. Just let people experience it as long as they're safe. No one cares about what division they belong in. But again, people love talking about that stuff. Regarding stages, hopefully I'm going to get some hate for some of these, maybe not. If you're a stage designer, I see this play out a fair bit at my club, which I'm sure won't be that tough to figure out, and I'll end up getting some hate from somebody. But if you're designing a stage and someone offers you helpful or constructive criticism, gently listen to them. There have been a couple times where I've seen personalities setting up stages and people try like mentioning to this person, this is not a good test of skills, this is too tough, this is too off balance, this isn't going to be fair for anyone that shoots right-handed, this is too difficult, this is too whatever. They just don't want to hear it. It's like, nope, this is what they're going to do. They justify it to themselves. And then there's one instance specifically, I just let it play out. I'm like, I'm not going to, that person doesn't want to hear it from me either. Just let them do their thing. So anyway, the person just dug their heels in. It was a joke of a stage that I would have just saved the ammo on. But anyway, enough of that. So if you're a stage designer, especially whether you're a veteran or new to it, just be open to constructive criticism. There's always going to be people that try to overly help, but if I'm building a stage, I'll ask my homeboys just to come take a look and ask me if they could break it in any way. If there's something they see that I probably didn't intend to, can you stand in one spot and see all the targets? Something along those kind of lines. So try to just be a bro and just be helpful, because some people, people dig in sometimes. Along the lines, if you're designing a stage, try not to be too clever or intricate or make the shots really, really difficult. I've seen stages before where people think I'm going to test people, but they don't really have a good idea of what people are capable of doing. For example, a head box at 25 yards it's just too tough. Can I make the shot? Sure. For most people, I guess there are going to be a percentage. Like what percentage can I draw and go 2 for 2 on a head box at 25 yards? Is it probably 100% capable or 100% possibility I'm gonna hit the shot every time? Probably not. And is that too tough for most people? Yes. So instead, I think you should just make stages interesting, but don't ever be worried about them being too easy. I think a change in difficulty and variety is a good thing, but try not to make them too tough or think like you're going to really challenge somebody or show them something they haven't seen before. The stages I've seen where somebody tried to be way too clever, make it really difficult, or shows somebody something they've never seen before, end up being not super great. So just close targets, far targets, some shooting on the move, just a little bit of everything while people navigate around is, I think, the best type of stage. Not the one that's like, hey, you remember that one that had the bowling ball and the windmill and the merry-go-round and that kind of stuff? Like nobody wants that stuff. Just a standard test of shooting ability, balance stages, like I said, some close, some far, just a variety of things. The last thing, if you are going to argue a scoring call with the RO, argue for the score you earned. Trying to cheat or argue for the perfect doubles will follow you. For example, I probably shouldn't say this. If there's a common joke about arguing for a swinger, a double on a swinger at 25 yards, it was made by a professional shooter, and it happened to be on video, and it happened to be seen by a lot of people, and like that, I still hear that joke off and on. And if I said that joke around my friends, they would call me that shooter's first name, because no one likes a cheater. Honestly, they just argue for the score that you have. If there's a dispute with the call, it's not very becoming when somebody ends up like pulling the target and trying to get something that they didn't think was there. Oh, look, you look this way or something like that. It's just not a good look. So that kind of stuff follows you beyond winning some little match that no one cares what match you win or lost down the road. But at the time when you're trying to argue for something you didn't earn, that's not so cool. On the flip side to that, there have been times where targets have been very close. I'll say 5 yards, and I'll shoot, just pop up a fast pair, and I know they went in the same hole. It's so close. So imagine a full open target at 5 yards. In my brain, there'd be no way that shot could go anywhere else. It couldn't vaporize. And it's roughly in the center of the target. Like, yep, that's a double. And it's like, I'm not so sure. Hey, would you mind overlaying that? Because I'm very sure there's no question marks in my mind. I'm very sure they're both there. And then normally you look, it's kind of an egg shaped or something like that. You can see that the hole's oblong. Okay, cool. So Anyway, there's nothing wrong with arguing for a call, but make sure you're arguing for the score you earned. Anyway, that's just a few little housekeeping things about USPSA, or action shooting, I suppose, in general, practical shooting. So normally I don't talk a ton about practical shooting, but that was just a listener question I had. Well, a combination of a couple listener questions. So anyway, hopefully that's helpful. If you haven't been to a match before, just go give it a try with whatever you have. Don't buy anything special. Don't think you're training up to win. Just show up with what you have and just give it a try. Shoot a handful of matches. After that, if you really like it, maybe you want to look at getting a gun that's suited to that sport. If you have a gun that's not really optimal, for example, shooting a carry style gun when everyone else is shooting full-size duty style pistols or service pistols, maybe you want something else, or a tricked up gun like a CZ Shadow 2 or a 2011, something like that, something more racy. Just depends on, what you want to get out of it. But don't buy anything special or a bunch of gear thinking you know what you're going to want, because once you go to the match and you actually try it, you might like it more than you thought, less than you thought, or you might wish you had a specific piece of gear, and you're better off just saving your money and buy once, cry once. So anyway, that's what I got to say about matches and the dude you don't want to be.